Okay, so I had a comment from Gino Joe, and this video is specifically for Gino Joe, or anyone else who is wanting to get into printing and don't know how or need some advice. All right, now, the caveat here is I've only been printing for about 2 years, so I am not a professional. I am not, I'm just a guy who does this as a hobby and have learned through mistakes and all other kinds of things. I'm currently in my garage, which is where my Mono X is at because I broke it. And you can possibly see the glare. Hang on, let me see if I've got a light here. All right. So the reason why my Mono X is out here in the garage is because that sounds like crap. All right, right here, this section here, you can see how much resin is on the LCD screen. That's because I used the heck out of this machine. This specific Mono X does not have a glass protector. At the time, I didn't know they made screen protectors for these. And so I started scraping and ended up peeling off the film, which means this LCD screen is trashed. It will no longer print. So that's one of the things you need to know. I think most printers now come with the glass or some type of a protector on them. I don't know if the Mono X changed theirs. I don't know. Now, this machine still works. I could replace the LCD screen. That costs $150. I think this machine currently, you can buy a brand new one for $200. So it doesn't make sense to me to spend $150 to replace the screen when I could just buy a whole new machine. So there's that. But anyway, the success rate of this printer, this specific one, I think I had about 60% success rate. I had a lot of failures when I was printing on this. So one of the things you need to think about is what size stuff are you going to print? What do you want to print? Now everything I print is resin. I do not do anything FDM. FDM printers have gotten a lot better since I started printing, but resin printers have always given better quality prints than FDM. Now FDM is starting to compete in that arena, but they still are extremely slow printers. So that's one of the other things you need to ask yourself. How fast do you want to print? Because I think any print that I do on here will be like an hour or two, depending on how high it is. And that's what takes the longest time for resin printers, is how far up this is. The further up it goes, the longer the print is. So this specific machine, I think this is a 10-inch build plate, which you can see I have a flex plate on here. I don't do anything without, holy cow, that thing is stuck. This has been sitting out here for a while. Apparently that has some cured resin on it because that is not coming off. But you want to look at your build plate size and your Z height size. Those are the two things you want to look at when you're getting a printer. To try to decide, forget the mess in my garage, sorry. But basically you want to look at what size items you're trying to print. Now, I started off with the Mono X because I'll show y'all what I used to print on. And I'll show you something in my room, in my man cave. This print here, which I still have not finished painting. But this monster of a diorama slash the two dragons, this is the very first thing I ever printed. I got into hobbying basically because of this, which is a Star Wars Legions downed ATST. That's the first thing I ever painted, but it's a model. I purchased it and bought it. This is the second thing I ever printed, or excuse me, bought and painted. And then after that, I was like, I want to do some other stuff. Came across Loot Studios, December of 2021, I can't remember when. But I saw this. This was the Pan Shao release back in December when I first started getting into this. And I have a thing for dragons. And so I printed this. It took about a week and a half to print all together because there are so many parts in all of this. And like I said, I have not finished painting this, as you can clearly see. Every time I touch this, it wants to break because it's so big, it's so heavy. It's hollow, but still, all of these wings, they're too thin to make them hollow, so they're solid, and they are extremely heavy compared to where they're connected at the body. I've broken this thing so many times, and that's basically why I stopped working on it, is because I break it every time. And it kills me to break this thing and try to glue it back together. But anyway, I printed this on that Mono X. I think I printed this one on the Mono X. A lot of these I printed on the Mono X. And then I eventually got into this setup over here where I bought a Saturn Elegoo, an Elegoo Saturn II 8K. Now I still use my wash and cure, but I do not use the wash part. The buckets under there, I never use that. This is how I wash all of my prints, which I still have some stuff here. This is all cured stuff, which my current project that I'm printing is the Spaceballs ship, I guess you'd call it. So this is currently happening, and this is a failed print right here. And plus the fact when you look at the top of it, there's some deflection there, so it's not perfectly flat. So I'm not sure if I'm going to reprint this or not. And it's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. So I may redo this. I want it much bigger. But anyway, so this here is a much bigger printer. Primarily because the Z-axis is much higher. It's not much higher, it's a little bit higher, but the build plate is larger. I can actually get more stuff on here. Currently, I'm looking at a Jupiter printer from Elegoo, which is even bigger than the Saturn II. No matter what you want to do, just getting into printing, if you're going to get a resin printer, is purchase some thumb drives, right? This is the thumb drive that comes with the machine. I can't remember if this is the one that it came with this one, or I think this is the one that came with this. I can't remember, to be honest. But for the Saturn II, this is what I found out through trial and error. As I sliced files, got them on the thumb drive, and then came over here, anything that is not a 3.0 thumb drive or higher, 3.1, 3.2, which these are all 3.2s, I think that says. Yeah, it's a 3.2. That's why I have these, because they're the top of the food chain, I guess. I don't know how that works, but anyway. I have 4 of them all together. I've got one in the machine right now, and then two here with some other stuff on them, and then another one. And I only do that because I print a lot. And so if I have something printing, I can slice something else and get it ready. Or, and here's the next thing that I found out, and I kind of skipped over this part. Anything lower than a 3.0 will not show up on the cache. That's where I started having problems with my thumb drives, was on this newer machine. It wouldn't read it. It give me some error code. The Mono X, I used the one that came with it for a very long time until I finally upgraded, thinking that I got a, I think these are 256 gig thumb drives. The problem is you cannot put 256 gig worth of files on here because it'll only read 10 gig or 15, I can't remember. It won't read all of it, because once, here, let me show you. Now I can't show you exactly what I'm talking about. What I can show you though, is that once you have your files on here and you start going through however many you have, eventually, and this is just going back to show what I have on this file. So there's 8 frames here of things, of what I have, or 12, I can't remember. Anyway, once you go so far in this queue, it'll give you just one of these frames, and it'll say exceeded memory or something like that. So I don't know if that's something that, as I print stuff and delete it off of here, if they'll populate. I've never bothered to figure that out. But I've put a lot of files on a thumb drive and they just never showed up, even after I went through my printing process. Now this print here, this obviously, as you can see, yeah, these are the wings for that right there, and that's not gonna work. So obviously I'll peel that off. I'll do the tank clean and retry this one later on tonight. A lot of people talk about this, the smell of resin. I can't even smell this at all in here. I've got the charcoal. It's something else. I can't remember what it's called. But it's, anyway, it's a filter. It's supposed to help with the fumes. It only helps with the fumes if the tank is empty, or the lid is on, and it's supposed to do that. But I never smell anything. My wife has asthma, is very sensitive towards weird smells. She says she can smell it in the house, but it doesn't trigger anything for her. So for everyone out there who says, oh, it smells horrible, blah, blah, blah. My niece is that way. She hates the smell. Her fiance is actually trying to get into printing. She won't let him have his printer in the house, which is weird because she stood right here during Thanksgiving for 20 minutes, right next to this, which if you look here, this is after I get done with a print. I usually set it right here. This is all resin, just sitting here, because this is where I put my piece and let it drain. And then after a while, I'll take this and I'll clean this off. But obviously I haven't done that. I need to do that. I'm being lazy. But I mean, I have open resin constantly right here in my workspace, which if you look, my workspace isn't that big. Obviously I got all the Christmas crap out, so this will go away here shortly after Christmas. But this is my space. It's not that big. It's away from the windows and the light. There's no light that comes over here other than reflective or whatever you want to call it, but somebody's waiting. So that's one of the things you want to look at is thumb drives. This, here's one of my flex plates for my Saturn, which I have 2 of them. I know a lot of people talk about flex plates. Oh, I hate flex plates, blah, blah, blah. I won't print without a flex plate. for the simple fact that peeling this off of the magnet is just a matter of what you saw me try to do in that other one. But literally, I just go like that and take it off, bend this a little bit, and all the prints fall off instead of me sitting there, which I don't know how many videos I've watched of people with the scraper, this one, or I don't know if I bought this one or if it came with one of these, sitting there trying to scrape their parts off their build plate. I originally started doing that, and I gouged the crap out of my build plate, and I don't like that. So flex plates are, I won't print without a flex plate. Next, let's see here, what else? Like I said, I'm getting ready to get a Jupiter because the build plate's much bigger, and obviously I print a lot of large scale stuff. So let me show you. And that's why I'm going with, I want to go with a bigger printer. So like ships like this, which here's my hand. This thing is massive. Let me take this down, put it over here. Ugh. All right, that shows you how big that thing is. Now, the reason why I want a bigger printer is because you can see here is a seam. There's a seam right here. There's a seam. Where are the seams at, Boo? Do you know? Can you see them? I'm not sure either. There's a seam right across here. There's another one right across here. There's one right here. There's seams everywhere. And with the size printer that I have, that's part of the problem. I'm gonna have to put that back later because my magnets just let go of the... Anyway. So the bigger stuff you want to print, you don't have to go through stuff like this. All of these are finished prints right here that I'm waiting to build, which I'm working on that right there right now. I've printed off a whole bunch of other stuff. I have prints everywhere in this room. There's so many models here waiting to be done. Plus all of these down through here. I've shown this stuff I don't know how many times. But so after I get done with this one print, my next model build is going to be this, which I think some of you may recognize these legs. I have, that's one of the Clone War X-Wing looking type things. These are some Imperial snow troopers. But since I want to print big stuff like this, with a small printer, I have to do it in small parts. There he is right there. That's what's in this box. And there's another one in that box right there. So I have two of them that I've already printed. So those two are going to be my next builds. Hopefully. As my plan of right now, and that may change 10 minutes from now, who knows. But I'm sorry I'm out of breath. I'm trying to think and trying to... Anyway. With a bigger printer, I can build bigger parts and not have as many seam lines, which is basically what I'm aiming to get towards. Even my Hulk that I did, that thing's 20 inches tall from the bottom of the base to the top of his hand. But I built that on my Saturn II. So even having a small size printer, if you're just starting out, you can still make something that's massive. That's not a problem. You just got to be able to fill your seams, which I've done videos in the past about seam filling and stuff like that. My current process that I use for filling is this stuff here, which is light curing putty. And this stuff is, hang on, sorry. This stuff is the consistency of Vaseline. I've filled, I don't know how many models so far with this stuff, and I'm maybe 2/3 of the way through this one. I haven't even opened those other two yet. So I swear by this stuff. If you're gonna do seam work, get this stuff. Don't order it from Frozen though, because they will, I think for all three of these, I think there are 12 or 15 a piece. For three of them, you do the math, the shipping cost was $70. So you can find other places that has this, and you won't have to pay that ridiculous shipping cost from Frozen if you buy that stuff. So anyway, let's see here, what else? Just kind of figure out what you want to print, how you want to print, and go from there. Do a lot of research, look at a lot of different videos, and kind of just figure out, you know, are you wanting to do big models, small models? Gino, I think you said in your comments that you're wanting to do statues, which this room here is my catch-all room, so please forgive the mess. This model here, I printed half of this on my Mono X and half of it on my Saturn II. It's in here in pieces because there's only 2 points here, this point and this point, that I can't remember which point it was, but you can see on the horse, it was this hoof here and the front of this hoof, which I think was this piece here. That's the only thing that held this. This is already at an angle, so the horse tipped over and broke the connections off. And when it did that, it hit and snapped a lot of the parts off. And I'm so disgusted with this model that this is the 1 year and the reward for being a subscriber to Loot Studios. Apparently they've known about this problem for a year ago when I printed this. Was on their Discord, talked about it, told them it fell over. The amount of money I spent and time printing, time building. The paint job was quick because I just did a pewter rattle can on it. I didn't do much else on it. And their response was they didn't have the bandwidth, quote unquote. That's exactly what I was told. They didn't have the bandwidth to fix the problem. Later on in that conversation, somebody said, yeah, there's a Facebook post from 3 years ago talking about this issue. So they'd known about it for at least 3 years, never bothered to fix it. My solution and the solution from that post, so the leg that's here is part of that leg there. This leg goes here, and then there's nothing. Come on, stay there. Then there's a gap to this leg. Well, they could have just modeled a piece that fits in this one and fits into that one to create a 3-point connection. And apparently they can't do that. Which, you know, I don't know how to do it, but they do that for a living. They can't fix something small like that to fix the problem. Anyway, that's me ranting about something else that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to talk about. So I apologize. Anyway, the other thing is you have to know where you're going to put your stuff at and have a dedicated space. If you don't have dedicated space, you know, you're going to have to create something. If you do it in your garage and you have temperature fluctuations, my niece's fiance is doing it in his garage right now, in Missouri, mid-Missouri. Today was 60 degrees. Last year, this same day, it was 5 degrees below zero. So and extreme temperature fluctuations, being in a space that's not constant temperature, you're going to have problems. Right now, he's talking about, oh, I can't get anything to print. Well, you have a very cold space, and he's like, well, I'll try to heat up my resin. Doesn't matter if you heat up your resin, if your machine's in a cold space, that temperature of the resin is going to diminish very fast. It's not going to, by the time you get to the end of your print, which could be 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on what you're printing. This print right here that I did that failed, this was a 7-hour print. In 7 hours, that temperature of that resin is going to go back to whatever the temperature around it is within an hour, maybe less, maybe more. I don't know, but it ain't going to last 7 hours, that's for sure. And so it's going to fail. So you got to think about things like that. What else? I mean, the whole gambit of things you could discuss and talk about in getting into printing is just forever. And it involves a ton of trial and error on your part, trying to learn what you can do, what you can't do, what you can get away with, where you can work, what you can't work with. Obviously, you can see I have mats here to keep. Oh, that's nasty. Obviously, I haven't cleaned under that for a while. But any stuff that might spill or whatever is going to be on here instead of my actual stone top that I have here. Storage. You need IPA. You can use different types of cleaners. I found IPA works the best. You just have to be able to dispose of it properly after you use it, which this is used IPA down here. And you can see it here. This one's pretty dirty. I'm getting close to switching these out. This is why I have two of them. One gets basically a lot of the resin off, and then I do a clean rinse. I use a brush to brush down every single piece because originally I didn't do that. And so when I'd get a part, and if I just dunk it, or if I ran it through the cleaner, take it out, if I didn't let it dry long enough, I'd get white crap, which you can easily see all through here. All this white stuff. This is resin and IPA mixed that oozed out of parts and got onto here. And my turntable is so filthy and disgusting that any light that's going through here, yeah, it'll get through there, but it doesn't, it kind of, I don't know. I have to flip. If I cure anything and I don't flip, like I'll put it in here like this, let it run for maybe 10 minutes on most of my stuff. And then I'll flip it over and do the other side. Is it overkill? Absolutely. Yes. But if you notice, after I printed everything, there's no pools of anything on here because wherever my drain holes are, I will let it sit for at least a good 10 to 12 hours and let it drain. Why do you do that? Because if you don't clean it and you don't drain it and let the interior dry out, if you seal it, it could pop. The gases will build up, from what I'm told. I've never had a problem with this, but gases could build up in there and pop the piece, whatever you're doing. I can see this piece here, right where my thumb is. There's some shiny. It's not really showing up on the camera that well, but this whole edge right here is pretty shiny. This has been cured. That shine is resin / IPA from this drain hole. So there's a large drip fest going on here that I cured this too soon. I didn't let this dry out long enough. And you'll be able to see that if you print anything, you'll see it in parts and pieces. But this is after the fact. once I started going to this route, instead of using my wash and cure to do stuff, you'll no longer get that white stuff on there, which I hardly have anything anymore that has, I don't know if that's true. You can see that spot right there. See that little shine right above where my thumb's at? And that's a little drop of, it's not really, come on. Anyway, a lot of these parts here have some stuff on them. And again, this is another, I printed this, I don't know how many times. I could not get this to work properly. But anyway, that's the other part of printing in resin, or FDM, I think, is failed prints. You're gonna have failed prints all the time. I don't know that there's a way to get around that. Sometimes it just happens, sometimes it doesn't. I have printed things where I had the same part fail 10 times. My the IG12, I had a lot of problems. Most of my problems come with non-supported models. And actually you can see right here, I'll show you this real quick. Hopefully real quick if I sit down. All right. So I made this guy. I had to do all the supports for this to get this to print. These are all my extra parts. I have a ton of arms, which all these pieces here are the arms, and there's a bunch more in there. Some are straight, some are bent. The problem that I had with these was I printed all of the same arm, which this is this side of the arm, because there's a flat piece there, right there. So that's the right arm. I printed a bunch of them, not realizing that I had to mirror the piece when I was slicing it. So I finally got to where I got two arms for the other side and got them to work okay. But part of that was I printed so many of these because I got to the point where I was having failed print after failed print after failed print that I put 10 of them or 12, I don't know. I filled the plate up with arms. That's why I now have so many. The left arms or the right arm, whichever this is. Yeah, this is the right arm. Right arm's printed great. Left arms didn't print very well. But, yeah. Those are some of the problems you're going to run into. You're going to run into all kinds of different stuff until you really start getting a feel for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to make. So for me, I scale up a lot of stuff. Like all these guys here, all these are the size that they come as. Any of my fantasy stuff, I don't scale that stuff up. But all of my Star Wars figures, this is the size they come as. So all these guys here, they're all this size, and then I scale them up. And you can see the difference here. Let me flip this light on. Right here. So that's the difference in the scale that I make. Because I can't see these to paint them. These guys here come as this size. They also come in this size, but I always print them in the larger size so I can see them when I'm painting them. But all my stormtroopers here, they all come this size, and then I make them bigger. So, you know, that's part of the stuff you need to think about when you're printing, or what you want to print, is what size can you make, can you work with, can you know, all that stuff. So, all right, I've been rambling for 34 minutes, so I'm going to shut off this now. Hopefully, Gino, this helped you out some. I apologize for the length of this video. Hopefully it helps you out a little bit. If not, just drop me a comment and I'll If you have specific questions, by all means, I'll try to answer them specifically. But when it comes to, in general, how do I start? That's a question that's damn near impossible to do in a comment. At least for me it is, because there's so much involved with doing that. The biggest thing that you really want to focus on is if you're going to get a printer, I would get it right now. Christmas sales are still on. I'm probably going to buy my Jupiter in the next day or two, simply for the simple fact, I think it's a $1,200 or $1,500 printer, and it's on sale right now for eight-ish. It's like half price, basically. And so that's why I'm wanting to definitely buy a printer right now, because they're on sale. Black Friday is the perfect time to buy anything, but all the way through the Christmas season, I think the sales run. So this is the best time to buy right now. So figure out what you want to do and get your printer. You may want to start off with a small one. But I guarantee you, if you like printing and you have a small one, you're going to buy a new one real fast. Especially if you pick up the printing aspects of it quickly. So if you figure it out, and you can, for me, I had to watch video after video after video and trying to learn it because I have memory issues, so it was a struggle. But if you pick stuff up really quick, you're going to be printing stuff in no time. You're going to be making all kinds of crap. And almost all the people that I talk to about printing, almost all of them say the same thing. I have a pile of shame. This is my pile of shame right here. All the things that I have printed, that I haven't painted yet, because printing is an addiction. I don't know why. I mean, I have stuff here too that I've printed. And I love printing. I don't care so much about the painting aspect of it, but I really love printing for some freaking reason. And I think most people have that same problem. So anyway, with that, I'm going to shut this off. Like I said, if you have any specific questions that I can help you with, by all means, leave a comment and I will gladly answer them as quickly as I can. I've worked on your question. I got it this morning, Gino, and tried figuring out a way to do it. I had some other family stuff to do today, so that's why I'm not getting back until this evening. But I will try to answer them as quickly as I can. I think you noticed that I usually answer within 5 minutes because I'm always looking at my phone, and if I see a comment, I quickly respond, or try to. Unless it's something like this where I was really thinking about this all day long. So anyway, so 38 minutes. Sorry for the length. Thanks for watching. For those of you stuck with it, I greatly appreciate it. Hope you all have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Take care.